Hey, if anybody's on yet, we're going to do a live stream. This will be a Q&A of Pacific Northwest weather along with kind of highlighting this East Coast storm. I got some new buddies out here, Hurricane Track, and we've got their live cameras out there on the storm right now. So we're just going to kind of do that for a while today, and you can ask questions on anything you like. I'm going to tweet this link out here real quick, and then I might be in and out of the room a little bit to start here, so. Put that picture in there. Let's see, where are we here? New York State. Cheers to Raymond. Okay, so I'll be right back here, you guys. We got live streams going on the left-hand corner here. You can see their actual live stream on YouTube is going on there, the Hurricane Track, and their webcam, which is located, I'll have to figure that out again. It's in New Jersey somewhere. Let me figure that out. Just want to make sure I have the location of that webcam correct before I say it. Belmar, New Jersey. Okay, I can remember that. Belmar, New Jersey. And we'll do like this. PDX13. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Okay, I'll be back here in a few minutes. Watch the live stream on the left-hand side. I'll be back here in a few minutes. I'm just still setting up here. And we can talk about anything you guys want. Pacific Northwest weather, the East Coast storm. I got a bunch of model runs up. We'll take a look at some of that information that's going on out there. And I'll close out some of this stuff. And yeah, so I'll be back here in a few minutes. Stand by. probably set a few more things up on OBS here. So I'm going to take this information. Oh, so I might not. Can you guys hear me? Can anybody hear that? Confirm they're hearing audio from this? Can you guys can't see me though apparently, right? Okay, I'll set up that camera here in a second. Okay, so I gotta reset that browser setting. Okay, let me interact a bit. Okay. That looks good. We're going to do one more browser setup here. Well, I'm gonna have to zoom in then. Read Tim reporting gusts near 100 miles per hour in Cape Cod. That is awesome. Yeah, so a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people understand how many storm chasers actually chase these types of storms. It's something I always found interesting too at first. I don't know what to do here, so am I supposed to like go... know what I did with my display screen here. Did I delete that? I did. Sorry everybody, bear with me here. Almost there. Again, I'm working with Hurricane Track here too. They've got a couple live feeds going on out there. They were sleeping last I checked. Looks like they might be up and about now here. Looks like they have somebody else driving around out there also, but I'm just going to can this one here. No, not the display capture. Yeah, Jonathan Pulley talking about our system. Yeah, we got a system coming in here for the Pacific Northwest too, and you can kind of see it. Let's do the GO satellite, GO 17. That webcam up on the top left there is Belmar, New Jersey. See if does that pop me in there? Yep. Okay, there we go. So yeah, we'll take a look at that system here too. Yeah, do you guys see all those? Where'd it go? Weather story, here we go. Yeah, so check out the blizzard warnings up there for portions of Long Island, Providence, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Boston. Look at that. It's just an amazing storm. 60, 70 miles per hour, accumulations 18 to 24 inches, localized 30-inch amounts, 2 to 4 inches per hour, near impossible travel. What an epic storm. Beautiful. Is the GO 17 down? What's going on here? Oh, we can always do this. The UW sites. Let's try. Yeah, so here's our next system here. You can see how this Arctic air is kind of come off the coast of Alaska here. And now it's over the Gulf of Alaska. That Arctic air, it's a little pinch of it that came off this lobe that's going to come down east of the Rockies. So it just got out over the Gulf of Alaska. It's going to modify a bit. And you can see it's kind of developing into a bit of a cyclone here, and it pulls warm air in front of it, so it's going to be pretty modified by the time it gets to us, but that colder air aloft is going to be with us, so we might get some low snow levels out of this as we go through. So Debbie asked, Michael, did you figure out we couldn't type? Are you not able to chat? Is there something going on? Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you mean there, Debbie. Testing. Yeah, it seems like people are able to chat here. I don't know what the. Maybe she meant something else there. I'm not sure. Checking out the wind, the temperature at 5,000 feet here. You can see that little pinch of Arctic air we're going to get for the Pacific Northwest came off this lobe here, and it's coming out off the coast of Alaska, and it's going to move down over. The air will be pretty chilly aloft, but it's going to modify some at the surface, so we shouldn't get much accumulation down low. But you can see that cold air moving over the Pacific Northwest. And you'll see the main Arctic air stay east of the Rockies there. And if we back up here, you can see that really cold air that's spawning this storm here up the East Coast. And if that storm passes by, you can just see that cold air just really become entrenched behind it. And you can see that cyclone, just the signature of it there at 5,000 feet as it moves up into Nova Scotia there and just blasts Massachusetts and Maine with a huge snowstorm. Blizzard warnings up all over the place, if you guys haven't heard. Been doing the METARs there for Bangor, Boston, and New York City there. You can see you got heavy snow for a while at Boston now. Can't draw it up much better than that. Look at that northwest wind gusting 41 knots, which is about 45 miles per hour, I think. Heavy snow, freezing fog, low visibilities. And if you guys see the live streams up on the left-hand corner there, that's the hurricane track. They've got a webcam out there in New Jersey, Belmar, New Jersey. And they're also live streaming the storm out there too from their vehicle. Hurricane track. You can see Bangor, Maine has pressure falling rapidly in its METARs there. But here's that storm now. So where are we at now? So this is the European, the 6Z, and this is 8 o'clock our time, and we're at 10. So this is 11 o'clock. This is 10 o'clock right now. And the storm is really deepening currently, and it's even going to get a little bit deeper here in the next 3 hours. And it's going to reach a peak at about 7 p.m. here so it's going to be about 10 o'clock at night out there on the East Coast. But you can see the system kind of moving down. That's going to bring some chilly air aloft to western Washington and bring a frontal system all the way down through Oregon. And I'm looking for some convergence zone activity in the wake of this low as we get the low-level onshore flow out of the northwest around the Olympics, bring us some convergence zone activity maybe. Outside chance of a lightning strike somewhere in the Sound on Monday or Tuesday afternoon. So I might go out and live stream some of that action. I probably should have put the header as this. I should have probably put the header at this as Pacific Northwest and East Coast storm chat. I wonder if I can change that. Is it too late for me to change that? I might have to start an entire new live stream. I don't know. I think I can change it actually. And that's what happened there. So yeah, I'll put this out. I'm going to do a tweet here on my main page here. Live stream and Almost ready, guys. It's still showing the East Coast. Let's see here. So did I change the title of this? Let's reload that and see if it changes the title. Good morning, everybody. So yeah, we're going to talk about Pacific Northwest weather and the East Coast storm. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we'll do that. I've got Hurricane Track on the left-hand side here. They are streaming live from their vehicle. I think a couple vehicles, actually. And they're streaming live from a webcam there in Belmar, New Jersey. Last night when I tuned into that webcam, there was no snow there covering. Now it's like covering everything. They got the snow plows running out there. This storm is really going to hammer Boston area, Rhode Island, up towards Maine into Nova Scotia. Right now we're about here, and you can see a 973 millibar low off the East Coast there, and then it's going to deepen even more up into this afternoon and evening into tonight there for the East Coast. What a storm. You can see our system coming here out of the northwest. As it slides through, it's going to bring a frontal system. That's going to bring a post-frontal chilly regime for us. It's going to bring some lower snow levels. And you might see some snow mixed in some of the convergence zone activities or some of the showers on the higher hills for the Pacific Northwest here. And we'll get, there's an outside chance of a lightning strike. It kind of backed off a little bit on the convective energy for this system for the Pacific Northwest. So it's kind of a long shot. Yep, smash that like button, you guys. When can we expect spring patterns Pacific Northwest? That's the tricky thing about La Nina years. Sometimes we'll go through these periods of stagnant weather for a month or so, like we're going through now, and then everybody thinks winter is over. But then you get into March and April, and we can stay really chilly through those months. It's much harder to get lowland snow events during those months, but when you get into March and April, La Nina signatures really take hold. It's much colder than a neutral or an El Nino year in the Pacific Northwest. When you've got La Nina conditions, you can get really chilly March and Aprils, which can get people in the Northwest that want spring to come pretty antsy. So again, it doesn't mean that we're going to be chilly in spring, but it's just a better chance than normal that we're going to be chilly through spring. So here, let's look at, this is the temperature map of it at 850. You can see why the East Coast is getting that storm. Look at this huge lobe of cold air that's moved down the eastern portion of the U.S. And you can see that storm over here off of Cape Cod now spin up, and you can see that cyclone signature there as it moves just off the coast of Maine and Nova Scotia there at 5,000 feet. So you can see why they're getting that huge winter storm, this blizzard that's just hammering the East Coast. And you can see why we're not getting that kind of storm. But we do have a lobe of cold air that's going to move down over us. And it's pretty chilly aloft, actually. So we might get some lower snow levels out of it, maybe a lightning strike, some convection, some mountain snows, and finally some rain. We'll clear out this air stagnation issue we've been having here for a while in the Pacific Northwest. The origination of our cold air, it broke off from this lobe way up over here, Alaska, Bering Sea, and it just comes out over the water here. So we're just getting a taste of this Arctic air mass that's moving down over the east of the Rockies here. Debbie Nelson, thanks for the support. You're one of my main followers here on Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Thank you very much. So we're just getting a little taste of this cold air. It's mainly staying east of the Rockies, and this lobe that comes off of it gets over the water and gets modified a bit before it gets to us. So south winds for North Puget Sound being forecast. So yeah, let's look at that, and let's look closer at what's coming up for here in the Pacific Northwest. And again, for those just joining, we got Hurricane Track. Those are the live streams from Hurricane Track. Give those guys a follow on Twitter. I just started working with them a little bit here. They got live stream from New Jersey there, and you can see they're driving around up towards Cape Cod now also when the storm is just starting to ramp up there. So, okay, let's take a look at the Pacific Northwest here. Let's see what some of those winds look like. Yeah, so MJ, how long do you think flights will be canceled going into the Northeast? They're usually pretty good at getting, once the snow stops, they're really good at getting the runways clear up there. So it's probably just going to be, the biggest issue is going to be people trying to get around to the airport actually probably into tomorrow, because the temperatures are going to be really cold. It's not going to be melting. So it's just a matter of how fast they can clear off back streets, because, you know, pilots and flight attendants that live around the area have to be able to get to the airport to be able to set up the shop and get everything going for a plane to depart. And there's going to be a lot of canceled flights just in advance for this. So there's always going to be some kind of backup. There's going to be some delay. Your flight might be canceled for a day or two even. But the airports generally themselves are really good about clearing off runways and having things ready to go. It's just the logistics of everything and all the flights that had to be canceled in advance of the storm, because the airports just can't handle as much traffic as they would on a normal day. And then if you're trying to, you know, you don't want crews sleeping in the airports and stuff. And so you don't want to just send your full load of planes to these airports, basically. I'm sure that's what a lot of major airlines are thinking. Because then your crews have to go to hotels and they have to get back and forth between the airport and the hotel, and there's a huge storm raging on. And so it gets kind of tricky. Okay, so let's look at surf it. We'll do 100-meter winds just so it kind of paints a little better picture of what's going on here. So you can see we get some decent winds through the sound tonight and start to really clear out our air mass here. Look at that up towards Whidbey. Yeah, look at that towards... Wow, that's some really strong winds. I'm going to have to take a closer look at that. Look at the San Juans there, really getting blasted here. And Washington Coast getting a good shot tomorrow afternoon too. And then you'll see you see the westerlies start to blast down the strait. So this is looking like kind of a fun event there. Then you can see maybe a convergence zone signature going on, winds wrapping around the Olympic Mountains there. Some powerful westerlies going down the strait there towards Whidbey Island. So who was that? Was that Jonathan? You're out there in Whidbey? Yeah, you're going to get some good winds up there tomorrow. That's going to be, if you liked watching the waves and the wind, it's going to be a nice. And that is for Sunday, the real strong south winds and then the powerful westerlies behind that. It's probably going to have a nice band of precip moving through there with that westerly surge too. And then a convergence zone forming Sunday night. Then you can see there's the signature for it again Monday night. And we'll zoom in a little bit more here on the Pacific Northwest. And for those of you joining, Hurricane Track is streaming live there. They're got a webcam there in New Jersey, and they are on the road there up at Cape Cod. Those guys are hardcore chasers, and give them a follow on Twitter. Chris Palmer just sent me an email. Let me check that out, make sure everything's good. Checking out his email here. Let's see. Please don't shoot me. Okay, so we got okay, Chris, so looks like what I'm streaming now. So is that good with you, Chris? Oh, is that a different? No, that's the same feed, isn't it? Or is it? Let's see. That might be a different feed there, it looks like. So I'll get that going. I'll get that new feed in there. That looks like the new one. There we go. So look at all that snow piled up on their hood there. Look at that. Is a crazy looking storm. That's awesome. So that's Hurricane Track, guys. They're on YouTube, they're on Twitter, on Facebook. Yeah, this is the water vapor look at that East Coast storm. So I think if Chris told me right, they are out on Carl Fisher asks, is a meandering jet stream playing a part in the weather that the Northeast is getting today? Not so much. It's so hard to identify such a thing on an individual event too. It's hard to know whether or not an individual event would be affected by such things. It's really hard to know, because basically this is just a huge, extension of the polar, polar air. I call it a polar lobe because it's not really the polar vortex. It's just very cold air. It's in a roundabout way associated with the polar vortex, but you can see it's really cold air that's spawning this system. And so there's really no way to tell just how the interaction with the jet stream, or if there's any link with a kind of a weakening polar jet, has anything to do with this individual storm. Yeah, Debbie Nelson, look at that cold air up there. We got a little piece of it coming our way though here too. It broke off up here by Alaska and it's taken a long track, so it's going to get modified some, but it is headed our way. You can see it coming through here, and it's really going to bring a frontal system. It's going to bring some fun weather though for the Pacific Northwest. Some strong winds look like they're coming for the Strait of Juan de Fuca and for the San Juans up there. And again, anybody just joining us now, Hurricane Track is tracking this huge storm up the East Coast. They are live up in the left-hand corner there, and they've got a webcam in New Jersey, Belmar, New Jersey, Hurricane Track. Yeah, we've had some, like Soul Slinger says, we've had some bad air stagnation issues out here. Even though when it breaks out in the afternoon, you can see the haze and the kind of the particulate matter that's trapped at the surface. It's kind of nasty out here. We need some wind to stir this up. But yeah, we got a fun little system coming for the Pacific Northwest. It's not the monster that's getting the East Coast. You can see it at 5,000 feet. That cold air just wrapping around the cyclone as it moves up the coastline there. An impressive storm. All kinds of blizzard warnings for areas. Look at just some of these numbers are just like, you couldn't draw it up any better. Snowfall rates 2 to 4 inches an hour, up to 2 feet, up to 2.5 feet actually. Wind gusting to 70 miles an hour, near impossible travel. So a good time to be hunkered down on the East Coast. A lot of people live out here too. So this is a very impactful situation going on out there. And you can see the winter storm warnings extend well inland too. And, they're talking about up to 18 inches, 50 miles per hour. You're nearing blizzard conditions in there at times as well. Yeah, that's just a little bit of cold air coming our way. It's not anything too impressive. Got a remote. Chris Palmer says, I've got a remote site to get to this weekend for some work at 20. Better today. Well, but by this afternoon, looks like the winds are going to be coming in nicely. So if you look, let's back up here. This is current about right now, and you can see the winds start to pick up a bit this afternoon. Well, more like tonight. I lied there a bit. Looks like that starts picking up a bit tonight. By tomorrow, though, look, tomorrow morning we got a fresh gale just ripping through the sound here. Let's check out the surface winds here too. It's kind of being a little slow here. Oh, here we go. It's loading. Yes, we got a pretty good wind going through the sound here. So tomorrow's going to be better. Maybe some of the higher terrain, it might take a little bit longer for that wind to get in there, as you see there. But by tomorrow, it should be much better air quality through the sound. Yeah, we had that fog sock in at SeaTac there. It was you know, we had it previous days, but it was supposed to remain a little bit less at SeaTac yesterday. And it did come in pretty heavy when it did come in. It was freezing fog, and I don't know. I worked in the afternoon, so I don't know what was going on in the morning. But you know, it's always a challenge when you have that dense of fog. But I should be able to land in it with our Cat 3 approaches. Airlines usually make it in just fine. Am I blocking the? Oh yeah, sorry, I am blocking the coastline. Okay. Yep, thanks for pointing that out. Okay, here we go. And I will move that over there. There we go. And I'll back this up like that. I'll do that. There we go. Okay. That's better. I was cheating you guys, part of that map there. I know I get jealous too when I see a snowstorm like that going up the East Coast. So we're going to go like this. Let's throw that in here. There we go. So yeah, for those of you just joining now, we got Hurricane Track there live streaming that storm. You can see all that snow accumulating in the trees there. They're on the East Coast. I think they're out by Cape Cod now. So let's see here. I'm going to do this so I can... Yep, I know a lot of people aren't big fans of the... Okay, I'm going to get the... I'm going to make sure I have the correct location of the Hurricane Track storm chasers out there. Yeah, look at that snow out there for those guys. That is amazing. I'm jealous. Yeah, we don't... The roof collapsing type of snow, that was no fun. I mean, like the one in 2019, it was pretty wet snowfall. And I was on my roof, and I shoveled for like 2 hours straight, and I hurt my back for like 3 days afterwards. That was really heavy snowfall. But they got some pretty cold temperatures out there too. But I assume along the coast, it's much, you know, the snow density is probably much greater. So yeah, let's take a look at, is there any cape showing up at all in the European here for Monday night? There is a little bit of cape out there in the Convergence zone. So there's a chance of a lightning strike. Look at that, Central Puget Sound. There is a chance for a lightning strike on into Monday. So we have potential here for a nice system. We got some wind, some convective activity possible, maybe a lightning strike, some lower snow levels. So this will be a fun little storm, I think, moving through here on Sunday, Monday, and on into Tuesday. It looks like that cold upper level flow will continue a bit too here. There's even a tad bit of cape around even on Tuesday. So we'll probably have some showers around on Tuesday as well. Beautiful, slightly hazy, sunny day we have in Westport, Grayland area. So yeah, for you guys that just joining me, Hurricane Track is on the left there. And they are, look at that blowing snow. They're basking in the glory of that huge snowstorm out there. Yeah, JMR Entertainment actually mentions that high humidity is good for your skin. Yeah, when I would live in Hawaii and I travel back and forth between Seattle and Hawaii, I noticed that my skin would be much less dry in Hawaii versus here. Got to get the chapstick out. Lightning stops all work for us doing what we do. What are you guys doing out there, Soul Slinger? I'm going to turn this fan off. I'll be back. So yeah, if you guys are just joining us here, we got this big storm moving up the East Coast. You see all kind of blizzard warnings, winter storm warnings out there, and some really crazy stats going on. This is just like a snow lover's dream. Up to 30 inches of snowfall for some areas, 70-mile-per-hour winds, near impossible travel, and this extends way inland with this winter storm warning also, 40, 50 miles per hour, 18 inches. And the Pacific Northwest is also going to get a storm here too. You can see this cold Arctic air up here. We broke off a little piece of it here. It's going to spin out over the Gulf of Alaska, and this is going to slide down, and you see that get over us there on into Sunday and Monday. It's going to bring us some chilly air aloft. It's going to bring us some wind, some potential for a thunderstorm or two, and some lower snow levels also, but not down to the surface. Got down, so Chris Palmer says got down to 30 degrees overnight. Cars got quite frosty. Yeah, yesterday was some pretty intense frost we had here too, just west of SeaTac with that fog. Some intense freezing fog. Ordnance and torpedoes. So are you out on Bremerton? Is that Bremerton area? Yeah, they're just churning through that snowfall there. So, yeah, Kevin Moore says, hope we get some more snowfall for the Cascades. And you should be getting that. I'll zoom in on. I'll just duplicate this map and we'll go Pacific Northwest. Oops. And so here's the snowfall totals coming through the Pacific Northwest. This is starting on Sunday. You see it really piling up in the Cascades of Washington. Oregon Cascades are getting pretty good snowfall amounts into the scenario too. And look at BC really gets hammered here, including out into the Rockies. Bitterroots, Idaho, eastern Oregon, especially the high terrain, looks like it's going to get a good shot of snowfall here too through early next week. And then even a little bit more as we're still in a cool northwest flow on into Thursday. So this is a good snowmaker for the mountains. This is we need this too. It helps out for springtime. And let's zoom in a little bit further so we can see some of those totals over Oregon. Let's click Washington. You can see both Washington and Oregon here. Yeah, there's some good snowfall totals coming. You can see Mount Rainier, Paradise, getting over 3-4 feet of snow here coming up. So this will be a significant little storm system moving through. And hopefully we don't go into too much of a ridge after this next storm. But you can see, like, the European shows some accumulation all the way down to sea level in the Everett area up there. And so we'll have to see how this convergence zone goes. I don't think it's going to be accumulating much. Maybe just anything more than just a brief accumulation is probably not going to happen. You've got surface temperatures that are going to be, you can see it's mid 30s. With the shower passing over, you might get down towards 33 or something like that, 32. But it's not going to last. As soon as the shower is done, that's going to be melting really quickly. So here's the timing of that front. Let's back out a bit here. If those of you just joining me now, you can see that we've got live stream from Hurricane Track. They're up by Cape Cod. They're in Massachusetts, as far as I know now. They are, and this live stream is from Belmar, New Jersey. The live stream at the top, and the one below that, Hurricane Track, is actually on the road there out in Cape Cod, storm chasing. Yeah, thanks for the kind words, JMR Entertainment. Yeah, they got a lot of snow out there. You can see how much snow is piling up on the roads around them. So this is our timing for our front here in the Pacific Northwest. So you can see the front coming down. They're just getting to Yarmouth, Massachusetts, says Chris Palmer. Okay, cool. Yarmouth, Massachusetts. Here, let's go. That's hurricane track. So this should have a map here. We'll click there. Let's see where they are. Oh yeah, they're getting out there, and they know what they're doing. They're headed out to Cape Cod. That's awesome. So yeah, this live stream here is they're right out here, headed out to Cape Cod, and as you can see, Cape Cod is here, and you can see they're right in the perfect spot. They're just going to get, this storm is going to just be raging over them for a while now. And if we look to the weather story, you can see they're under a blizzard warning right now, gusts to 70, localized inches, 30 plus snowfall. So the worst part of the storm is still not quite even there yet. And you can see on the bottom left there, I've got the radar looping there, just intense bands of snow moving on shore. Okay, back to where we were here for a second. Pacific Northwest. Here's the timing of that front. This is today, this afternoon. We're going to see the clouds coming in. In a system like this too, if I haven't looked outside for an hour or so here, but if there's clear enough skies, we might get some lenticular cloud activity over the Olympics or Mount Rainier today. Might make it a nice image. But you can see the front moving through in Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and then in the wake on Sunday night. Looks like there's a convergence zone, a lot of mountain snow going on. Monday morning, you can still see convergence zone activity going on through the Puget Sound. Snow continues for the mountains of Washington, Oregon. And then as we go into Wednesday, we get another system out of the northwest there. A little wave going through, bringing more mountain snow on into Thursday. And then another weak system moving through on Friday. So yeah, we got some good mountain snows coming up here for the next week or so. It's going to be nice to have. And some action down low. We might get a lightning strike or two. There's going to be some good winds moving through the Puget Sound area, western Washington. It's going to really clean out the air. So Bonnie Prather says local news forecasting only 1/10 of an inch rain here in Eugene. Let's check out. Let's look at that. Well, let's look at precipitation totals and just see what you guys can expect around the area here. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Let's go to Washington, and you can see Washington and Oregon in this map. And here comes the precip. I think mostly what I'm excited about is just clearing out the air. The precip down low, I'm not, it's like, whatever. But even Seattle's not getting that much. You can see on the European here, this is through Monday, Seattle. Much higher amounts north of Seattle. The Willamette Valley, it looks like maybe 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch at least through Monday. So that's something. It'll clear out the air a bit here too. Hurricane Track, they're storm chasers. They're on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Check them out. As you can see, they're headed out to Cape Cod right now. They're driving through neighborhoods and on their way. Now I want to look at the northeast here too real quick. Let's look at what kind of winds they can expect. Just how far into the storm are they? So this is just wind speed. This is not gusts. These are not gust values here. This is just steady state wind speeds. And look at Cape Cod, 50 miles per hour sustained winds on Cape Cod. Can you see it here? What an intense storm. Then you can see that storm just wrap up. And about noon today, nope, 1 o'clock. Looks like 1 o'clock peak for them Pacific time. So that's about 2 hours from now is when the peak is there for Cape Cod. So they're timing it just right. They're going to be out there right when the storm is at its peak. Look at that, 56 miles per hour sustained on the coastline there. And so if we look at wind gusts, 80 miles per hour. Let's zoom in even further, though. Let's go into, see if we can go into Massachusetts. Do they have Massachusetts here? Yep. But yeah, there's an 81 in there on the farthest reaches east on Cape Cod. And then you can, so let's duplicate that and we'll look at Snowfall. And you can see, I mean, look at that. It's amazing. So by Saturday afternoon there, they're going to have, let's do 24-hour totals here. So by Saturday, by Sunday morning, they're going to have close to probably around 2 feet of snow there out on Cape Cod. Yeah, James Landers. Yeah, that's true. You know, they have limited time. They get to explain stuff, and so it's kind of, you know, they just have to hit the high points really quick, and it's more of a broad, just general forecast for an area. So yeah, I mean, 80-mile-per-hour winds and 2 feet of snow. It sounds like a snow lover's dream. And if you hate snowfall, you're probably dreading this whole thing if you live out there. But again, if you're just joining us now, there's a nice storm coming for the Pacific Northwest. You can see this lobe of cold air that broke off, this polar air. It's moving out of the Gulf of Alaska, and that's going to swing down over us and bring some chilly air, clearing out our air stagnation problems, and it's going to bring some convergence zone activity, a lot of mountain snow, and some pretty good winds through the lowlands. I think it's time we look at that too. Let's look at what kind of winds we can expect. Surface wind gust. Actually, we better zoom in a little bit further there. So this is going on into Saturday. Still light winds until this evening and tonight. You see the winds pick up across the region there. Let's just do gust swath. So these are the highest winds. I mean, we're getting some pretty good winds. Look at this. European calling for a 40-mile-per-hour gust in Seattle. That'll clear the air out really nicely. Some stronger winds up through the San Juans there and down the strait. Looks like that's probably a westerly surge there. And of course the mountains, some of these higher peaks always get higher gusts. The Washington coast, fairly gusty too. And weaker through the Willamette Valley. And, you know, the higher terrain, some of the higher terrain in eastern Oregon and Washington are getting some pretty good gusts. But still, every place should see some wind as we move into early next week. And here's the timing of it here. So let's look at the timing of it again here. See the southeast winds going really strongly Sunday morning there through the San Juans. Hey, everybody. Morning, everybody. Yeah, these storm chasers know their stuff, Debbie. They know what they're doing. They're headed out there, and they don't want to, you know, they want to get the best part of the storm. It looks like they're in position for it too. The storm is really ramping up here in the next couple hours. A lot of snow forecast and winds, you know, gusting towards 80 miles per hour, possibly out on Cape Cod there. Yeah, what that Sam Ratlett says, you know, hoping that our ridge wobbles the other way. That's the thing about this time of year. Sometimes these ridges look like they're going to be in certain places 4 or 5 days out, and they back up or they speed up, and we can end up getting a system that we didn't think we could get a few days earlier. So hopefully that's the case. Here's our system out over the Gulf of Alaska right now. You can see the black arrow pointed at it, and that's going to bring that frontal system down onto us. And that cold air is going to get over us on into Monday and Tuesday. And then another system in the northwest flow will be getting down over us Wednesday and Thursday also to continue some mountain snow across Pacific Northwest. It'll keep our air nice and clean, and it'll bring some precip off and on. Yeah, definitely. Sam Ratlett mentions about 500 feet plus out there. Sultan, there's a definite chance you could get some coating of snow out there. With convergence zone activity, the air aloft is pretty cold. -6 at 850 millibars can bring snow down to sea level in stronger showers, and that could definitely bring a coating of snow to areas north of Seattle, back up in the foothills. Definitely have a chance of seeing some snow out of the system. Yes. What is convergent zone activity? Asked Bonnie. I'll show you here. So we're looking at 100-meter winds. So the definition of convergent zone in the Puget Sound area is when you get winds that wrap around the Olympic Mountains here. It's a terrain feature. Winds are wrapping around the Olympic Mountains from the northwest and around from the southwest, and those winds converge in the Puget Sound there. And when you have winds moving into each other, they have to go somewhere. They can't go down through the ground, so they have to go up. And when you rise that air, you cool and condense it, and it creates what we call a convergent zone. And when you do so, you can tap air aloft that is actually colder than what it would normally be tapping. So then you can bring down snowy precipitation even closer to the surface in such a case. And since the Olympic Mountains are always there, these convergent zones, they form, several times, a couple times a month, more than 10 times a year. And so I'll put this into motion here. So you'll see we've got southeasterly winds all through the area here into Sunday morning. But if you look on into Sunday afternoon, notice that westerly surge moving down the Strait of Juan de Fuca there. And now we've got winds moving through there in the Chehalis Gap. And there's kind of a lull right here. That's where the convergent zone is going to be. And you'll notice that goes on for a while. And then as we go into Monday afternoon, you see those winds wrapping around the Olympic Mountains and coming up from the south there. There's going to be another convergent zone in the central Puget Sound. And there's probably going to be some convection around too, and maybe even a lightning strike. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I try not to over exaggerate things. In my line of work, I have to be very factual, and I can't, you can't hype stuff up too much. You have to be factual, and just sometimes people don't like what you have to say, and they want to hear that it's going to snow a foot, and it just doesn't do much good to try to hype things up and to say things that may not happen. Oh, we're getting a little bit of buffering on the hurricane track there. Hope they're back up now. Yeah, you can see, looks like they're getting blowing snow out there. But they might be in a worse signal area there. And they have that webcam on the top left is in New Jersey, Belmar, New Jersey. How far are we out here? So we're not that far out from the Monday event. Let's check. I want to check some of the high resolution models here for the Pacific Northwest. This is the NAM 3KM. This is much higher resolution model than the European or the GFS. And so as we go into Saturday night, you see the winds coming through tonight and picking up from the southeast into Sunday morning. And then here comes the westerly surge. Watch down the Strait of Juan de Fuca here, north of the Olympic Mountains. See that surge coming down through there? That's going to be going through into Sunday afternoon and getting the western portion of Whidbey Island there with some good gusts. And really strengthens there. Look at Port Angeles, just that wind's squim rolling through there pretty strongly, hitting Whidbey Island and barreling into the Puget Sound. So this is a classic convergent zone signature here for Sunday night. And then as we move into Monday, you see that convergent zone just still going on here. You still have winds wrapping around the Olympic Mountains. And the European, the NAM doesn't go out quite far enough, but the European shows those winds wrapping around the Olympic Mountains and coming down the sound from the north a little bit more than the NAM does. Yeah, Nathan is asking about the forecasting without these high resolution models nowadays. How did they do it in the past? Yeah, if things were much more of a broad brush picture of, they could say, hey, this convergent zone coming, expect possible snow north of Seattle. The forecasts were much more general. Now things are getting a lot more specific. And the models are just going to get better over time. But at the same time, even though the computer power is increasing and the models get better, the computers get better, it's still only as good as the data we're putting in. So we need to increase the accuracy of our observations. That's the main thing. If you put garbage in, you get garbage out. So you need good observations. And that's kind of where I think we're eventually going to run up against. It's just the computer's going to be so powerful and so good at calculating the data, it just makes it all the more important the kind of data you're putting into the computer. I remember, so Sam Ratlet said, yeah, that happens a lot, especially back in the day, and especially with the Puget Sound. There's so much different weather going on at one time, especially when a storm will move through like this. You'll be in some areas and you're getting nothing, and some areas will get a thunderstorm and snow will be falling, and you're just 30 miles away and you're just looking around and you're like, I don't see anything, or it's windy at your house and you drive 40 miles south towards Seattle and it's not windy, or it's windy in Seattle and you drive towards Olympia and nothing's going on, or you're getting a big dump of snowfall, south of Seattle, and everybody north is like, I don't see any snowstorm. Some pretty good westerly winds ripping through the Cascades there too into eastern Washington. Those typically favored areas there near Ellensburg are going to get some pretty good winds here. Looks like there's some 60-mile-per-hour gusts coming through on the east side of the Cascades. What is that? Sunday night into Monday morning. Yeah, that's part of the fun of the weather too. I mean, when you know everything that's going to happen, it kind of makes it not as exciting. It's nice to be surprised sometimes. Sometimes you think that it might not snow, and then when it does snow, you're like, it just kind of makes it interesting. And you're trying to predict the future, so it's very hard anyway. You're just trying to give a best estimate on what's coming, and you're still just predicting the future, so it can be very hard. If you guys are just joining, looks like they're on the coast now. They're on Cape Cod. That's Hurricane Track. You can check them out on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And they are out there live streaming on Cape Cod, where they're expecting gusts 70 miles per hour, localized 30-inch snow total. So an extreme storm out there. Blizzard warning, winter storm warnings further inland. And you can see that storm just ramping up the coastline there. Cape Cod is right in the bullseye of this thing here. In the next couple hours, the storm should be at its peak intensity. The European was showing gusts to 80 miles per hour there on Cape Cod. So Soul Slinger asked about sunspots in the weather, and honestly, I don't know enough about that. I've never really studied sunspots in the weather. I know there's some correlation to it. And I know there's an 11-year cycle, but I don't know that much of it, of how it correlates with the actual weather itself. It's now that you bring that up, it'll probably stir me to actually look into it. Yeah, sometimes they get really powerful storms out there. I mean, they've got such a warm water current that moves up there. There's so much water vapor in the atmosphere that when you do interact that with cold air coming off the continent, you get some really extreme snowfall events. These systems just have such a powerful gradient. That's how extratropical systems develop. It's the gradient between the warm tropics and the cold polar regions. And you're really packing that gradient into a very small area there where you got polar air, Arctic air right off the coastline, and you've got really subtropical or even tropical air so far north that you've got this powerful gradient, spans this powerful cyclone, and it just allows a lot of moisture to be thrown over a very cold air mass, and it produces just insane amounts of snow. 2 feet of snow in just less than 24 hours in some cases, possibly even more. How do you know what snow ratio is accurate for a weather system 10-1 or Kuchera? When you're dealing with Kuchera, can be more accurate when you're dealing with a cooler system like this. But again, there's going to be a difference in snowfall density between right along the coastline and as you go inland a bit where the air is colder. So the Kuchera tries to measure the temperature of the atmosphere at a lower level, and then it will bump up snowfall ratios based on that temperature. So in a storm like this, you can be expecting better than a 10-1 ratio in a lot of places. I think there's actually a map on here. Is there a... No, there's a ratio on one of these. I think it might be under the... Let me try this. I think there's a map that does snowfall ratios. Kuchera snow ratio. So if you look at this map here, you can see you've got different ratios. The further you get towards the coast, it's showing the ratio at... And now, so let's bring it. Okay, so this is 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. This is 11 o'clock Pacific time, 2 o'clock on the East Coast. You can see the ratio is 12 to 1, even all the way out to the coastline there. You can see over the water, the ratio is lower. But as you move inland, look at some of these ratios. Over 20 to 1 in some of these areas. So you can see how that snow ratio changes as you go inland, because you got much colder air inland versus right along the coast. But still, that's a good snow ratio over Cape Cod. They're 12 to 1. That's above that 10 to 1 ratio. And if you go in towards Boston, I mean, you're talking over a 15 to 1 ratio. So if you get a tenth of an inch of rain or precipitation, then you would be looking at 1.5 inches of snow. Or in this case for Boston, 1.8 inches of snow, maybe even 2 inches of snow just for a tenth of an inch of actual liquid precipitation. Yeah, so it looks like if you guys are just joining out Hurricane Track, they are on Cape Cod there. You can see their live stream to the left here. I'm going to embiggen this a little bit. That's the main picture there. Let's go to... So you can see it's nice and windy there. They've got tons of snow. It's really, the visibility is coming down quite a bit. The top one there is in Belmar, New Jersey. You see the snow plows going. But yeah, this is the Kuchera liquid snow liquid ratio. So yeah, when you get the colder the air mass, the better ratio generally you get. Jonathan Pulley says already a slight south breeze on Admiralty Inlet right now. Yeah, I can't wait to clear this air out here. It's been kind of a nasty little run we've had. So this is Kuchera ratio here. This was the, I think actually, let me update this because this is the 12Z European is going now, I'm sure. There we go. So this is total snow. That's about current. So you can see there's quite a bit of more snowfall coming for the Cape Cod area there, all the way up through Maine. You can see the sharp cutoff line back here too. So these storms really are notorious for that. There's a sharp cutoff line, and sometimes the models, excuse me, will waffle back and forth with just where this cutoff is going to be. So it can mean your location getting 2 inches, or you can get a foot, and it can be a very fine cutoff on the backside of these storms. So yeah, for the Pacific Northwest, let's look at what kind of winds the NAM is painting for some of the area here. So this is just wind gust totals here. And it's painting less for Seattle, but still gusting 30 miles per hour. And some gusts over 40 up towards Whidbey Island, Bellingham, maybe the San Juans. But anyway, it is enough to clear out the air here for sure. Let's look at what it's calling for snow. Is the NAM 3KM calling for anything in the lowlands? There's a little bit. You can see on the higher elevations just north and east of Seattle in the convergent zone areas, there's a chance for a little bit of a snowfall. Again, it's just not going to be a big snow event. Nothing to be worried about. Nothing you're going to have to you're not going to be driving on sheets of ice or anything like that. This is not that event. But you can see good snowfall amounts for the mountains. You know, all the way down into the Oregon Cascades. Even the Oregon Coastal Range is going to get some. The Olympics will get a good amount. And, of course, the British Columbia Coastal Range. They are near Sisut Neck. Yeah, look at the wind picking up there. Snow, blowing snow. A lot of snow on the ground, obviously. As that storm continues to just blast up the coastline there. And this is what's coming for the Pacific Northwest here. You can see our next frontal system here. And we got our little bit of Arctic air that got broken off over Alaska there. And it's spinning over the Gulf of Alaska. And that's going to come down over us here in the next day or three. Sam Rattler is going to a cabin next week in the Snoqualmie Pass up by Hike. Yeah, you'll have some new snowfall. That's going to be nice. So who is that you're talking about? Soul Slinger. He does a good job. It dips into topics I don't like to hear about. Space weather is cool, but I get a little politicized. Yeah, I try to stay out of politics. I just try to, like, the weather is fun enough without getting into political stuff. It's like, you know, I got friends all over the political spectrum. It doesn't even... It's good to have discussions about it. It's just not really worth arguing about. Oh, suspicious observers. Okay, you said that. Okay. Yeah, it should be good snowfall amounts up there in some of the areas. I mean, even just another foot of snow on top of all that other snow will be a nice welcome addition if you're going up to the passes. Yeah, you can see that snow just blowing out there in Cape Cod. That's an awesome storm. I wish that was hitting us. Yeah, I just like to talk about. I mean, it's exciting enough just looking at the weather that's coming. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty chilly system that moves through here. I mean, it's not going to be a December snowstorm or anything like that, but it'll bring some active weather back. We've been anticipating this pattern change for a while here for the Pacific Northwest. And again, if you're just joining us, there's all kinds of blizzard warnings for the East Coast, and we're going to get a cold system moving through Sunday through Tuesday in the Pacific Northwest. A lot of mountain snow, maybe a lightning strike in the lowlands, some good winds to clear out the air, and maybe some lower snow levels into the upper hills, mainly north and east of Seattle. And I'm going to update this European run here too. It should be on 12Z. So you can see that lobe of Arctic air moved all the way down to the east coast, and that's what's spawning this system. Take a look at, even at 5,000 feet, you can see that cyclone, the representation of that cyclone move up towards Nova Scotia there on the periphery of that very cold air. And then you imagine just this warm ocean. You know, they have the Gulf current that moves up the coast here, and you've got really warm air. And so you've got a really powerful temperature gradient between this very bitter cold Arctic air and this very warm Gulf stream here. And so it just brings tons of moisture back up over this cold air and produces these huge snowfall totals that they're expecting out here. And so here's where this lobe of cold air broke off up here over Alaska, and that came out over the Gulf of Alaska, and that's what's coming down for the Pacific Northwest. Put that into motion. You can see that chilly air moving down over the region here. But we missed the main bulk of the Arctic air, which looked like it might pay us a visit at one point, but we're going to miss the bulk of it. But we will get an interesting system that moves down over the area. You can see that Arctic air just tried to get close, but the terrain really saved the Pacific Northwest. You just can't make it over the Rockies in true fashion. And I'm going off into the extended here. And you can see we've got some more ridging, but then we've got another system coming out here later into the period. So, but you can see the Arctic air is far away, and then a powerful low pressure system up here in the Gulf of Alaska, way in the extended here, but it's getting a bit too far out there. But yeah, this is what's going on right now. You can see that really cold air all the way down the east coast, and you see the cold air over the Gulf of Alaska here. It's going to head towards Pacific Northwest. Jonathan Pulley says some places northeast are hitting 16 inches of snow. Yeah, it's what a storm. Yeah, and Debbie Nelson said it's weird how Arctic air does that. Yeah, the terrain really it's hard to get that Arctic air over the terrain. It's got to take this good path from the north, and it's got to be deep enough to be able to get over the terrain and into Western Washington and Oregon and Vancouver, BC. So it's tough to do that, and a lot of times it will just stay locked on the east side of the Rockies and slide down there, and we'll get like bits and pieces of it that make it over, but yeah, it's tough to get Arctic air in the Pacific Northwest here versus the East Coast. There's no big terrain blockage here. It's kind of an open flow if you allow it. I mean, this Arctic air gets down there and it's not moving over huge mountains like the Rockies or anything to get into the East Coast. So that's why they get a little bit better shots of Arctic air out there than we do in the Pacific Northwest here. And again, just looking at the gusts out there for Cape Cod. Actually, let's look at the HRRR and let's zoom in on the area there. So backing up now. And the HRRR is picking that up a little bit differently, showing some gusts over 60 miles per hour for Cape Cod currently, and then starting to wane recently, but you can still see it's still well over 50 miles per hour. And then as the storm finally curls away off to the northeast. Take a look at some of these surface temperatures here. Look at the really bitter cold air back off to the northwest here. And notice how that will wrap down towards the coastlines here. You're getting some negative values out here. I mean, even New York City, check that out. It's going to get into tonight. We'll get down around 10 degrees. Long Island below 10. And that really chilly air all the way out to the coastline, Cape Cod. Yeah, Carl Fisher asking about Fraser Canyon winds. And yeah, we're not going to get any kind of strong blast going through there. In fact, I didn't really see much at all. Let's look at surface wind, and we'll just see if there's any. Didn't see any sign of that at all. It's going to be mostly an overwater track of that Arctic air, and it's well modified by the time it gets here. And you can see we got northwest wind moving down, but there's nothing coming out of the Fraser River gap there. I mean, it does. Nah, yeah, that doesn't. There should be no Fraser River gap winds with this event. Yeah, Soul Slinger, you remember that storm in '89? That was February. That's probably the best Arctic blast of my lifetime. I was born in '72, so that was just a true Arctic blast. I mean, that was vicious. That's the last time Seattle's been below 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, that's right. That really cold air got all the way down to Florida, too. I almost forgot about that. Thanks for bringing that up. Quantum entanglement. Oh, here we go. Let's go back one. Let's look at surface temperatures here. They're on the move again. The hurricane track is on the move again. Look at that blowing snow. Looks like there have been some plows out. But you can see that wind really gusting through there. So let's back this up here. Yeah, look at that all the way down towards Florida. You can see them getting really chilly. You can have some iguanas dropping out of the trees down there. And you see this warming up versus the cooling down. That's kind of the diurnal cycle of temperatures during the day warming up, then at night cooling down. Let's look at the anomaly here. Yeah, you can see how that cold air is just it's pretty unusual to get that cold air down there. You can see how it just, I mean, look at Florida. Some of those areas there are 20 degrees below normal there down in Florida. So very unusual for them. Yeah, if you live 1,000 feet above the sky, you're probably going to get, you might see some snowflakes out of this system too. You can see that really abnormally cold air through the portions of Pennsylvania there too, in New York. Nice wintry system. Let's see what happens after that though. Let's look at some of the upper level heights on this recent run. We haven't looked at this yet. So this is the 12Z European that just came in here. You can see that huge East Coast storm move up there. And then you see our Pacific Northwest system slide down there. Chilly system, but no true Arctic air getting in here. And then a little wrinkle in the system in the flow there that's going to bring us continued mountain snows and maybe a little unprecip with that. And then the ridge kind of settles in over us again. Another weak system goes by to the north, and then more ridging, and then a better system looks like it's swinging by later on in the period next Monday. Still over a week out though for that one. But you can see there's signs that some systems might be getting closer to the region here in the extended, and hopefully that's the case. Hopefully we don't go too long without getting more mountain snows. We could really use that mountain snow for the aquifers, and especially for eastern Washington and Oregon, which are in drought conditions right now. You need that snow. We need that river runoff to continue on into spring. Yeah, Florida's really cold. Yep. Hi, Phyllis is here. How's it going, Phyllis? So there's what we're looking at now. You can see the Gulf of Alaska storm that's going to come down for the Pacific Northwest, and you see the one affecting the East Coast right now. Models did pretty good with this storm out on the East Coast, and they picked that up well in advance, and now it's coming through here. There's blizzard warnings for those of you just joining us. Check that out. Gust to 70. Localized snow accumulations to 30 inches. Near impossible travel, and there's winter storm warnings well inland too. 50 miles per hour, 18 inches. Yeah, it's a crazy storm going on out there. Let's see what we got. Yeah, blizzard conditions all the way up. Storm warnings for any kind of boaters. I can't imagine anybody being out in the ocean for that. Look at that hurricane force wind warning for some areas out on the coast. Gust to 65 knots, seas 10 to 15 feet. Freezing spray advisory. So probably not a good day to have your boat out off the coast there. And they call these storms nor'easters. Bring that strong northeast wind with them. Yeah, these highs and lows, that's the story of our weather here. So I hope we don't go normally dry from here through spring like last year. Yeah, Eastern Washington is really hammered hard last year from drought, and they have not fully recovered yet. And they need to, we need that. Let's take a look at it here. So you can see, if we zoom in on the west region here, you see especially places east slopes of the Oregon Cascades are in exceptional drought right now. There's extreme drought that extends all the way up towards places like Yakima, just near the Tri-Cities. And then there's severe drought still through much of eastern Washington, Oregon, and extreme drought, especially down into Oregon. In Montana, a lot of drought conditions there also. But yeah, you can see Western Washington, we were abnormally dry for a while there, but we've since cured all that issue. But yeah, we still need good snowfalls, especially on the east slopes of eastern Washington and eastern Oregon. I mean, it's great for dust devil chasing and stuff, but it's really hard on those farmers out there. Let's update the weather here too. Let's see. Bangor, Maine has now been getting heavy snow for a while. Boston continues to get heavy snow. The wind's still gusting up around 40 miles per hour for Boston, the airport there. Very low visibility. It's a good day to just hunker down in your home. Yeah, check out the hurricane track there. They're showing off the wind speed there. Look at that blowing snow. Yeah, it's a good day to be in the house watching the weather from your window there on Cape Cod. What an impressive storm. It's going to be going on for a while there too. You can see that the radar imagery I got in the bottom left there just kind of showing the active precipitation. Heavy snowfall falling across the region. Blizzard warnings. Yeah, Carl Fisher says after last year's heat wave, hundreds of wildfires burned for months in British Columbia. Yep, yes they did. That was incredible watching those fires blow up on the GOES 17 satellite imagery there and just, flood our area with wildfire smoke. It seems to be picking up lately too, and I hope that's not a trend. I hope this is just some kind of phase we're going through, and we could use a few years without the huge wildfires breaking out. Let's look at Pacific Northwest again here, and let's look at the timing of the wind, see if we can pick out the front here. And you can see we still got the light winds going on here Saturday morning. You can see the frontal system moving into the Pacific Northwest here on Sunday morning. Wind picks up pretty good over the San Juans and the waters north Puget Sound. They're southeast winds. Good shot of wind to the North Washington coast. Then you can see that wind gets into the Puget Sound a bit there Sunday morning to the afternoon. And then the front passes and we get a powerful westerly surge down the Strait of Juan de Fuca there. It's going to impact portions of Whidbey Island. There'll be a convergence zone activity through the Puget Sound, possibly as far south as Seattle or even a bit further south, and maybe some convection. That's what I was going to look at here too. Let's look at, see if there's any cape around with this system. And there is. You can see it in the cold air behind the front. You see some of that cape up in the convergence zone north of Seattle, trending down towards Seattle there on Sunday night. Here's Monday afternoon. Look, there's quite a bit of convective energy out there. I do not doubt that there could be a couple thunderstorms on Monday afternoon. So I'll probably be out covering that Sunday and Monday. Zoom in on that a bit here too. So we're going to get our own little spat of some active weather here in the next couple of days. That's plenty of cape for a convergence zone to generate some lightning strikes. CAPE is convective available potential energy. It's just basically measuring the instability of the atmosphere and what kind of energy is available for a storm that would develop in that atmosphere. And when you're severe weather chasing out in the plains, for example, or even here in the Pacific Northwest, you're kind of watching that CAPE. You need there to be that instability to generate storms. Amy Hunter is here. Hello, how's it going? I can't tell how many people are watching ever on these. Yeah, but that's what's going on. So let's look at the precipitation here, convective or composite reflectivity, and we'll look and we'll notice the front moving through. There we go. Here we get the precipitations. The front's moving through on Sunday morning, and then you'll see that is out of the region by Sunday evening. A little bit of convergence zone activity you see through the Puget Sound after on into Sunday night. And then you'll see this will probably redevelop here on Monday a bit. There it is. There's some passing showers through the convergence zone. The NAM sometimes doesn't pick up these precipitation signals that well, but there should be a convergence zone going during that period also into Monday afternoon. And looking at, you can see that westerly surge still continuing down the strait there. It should be strongest about early Monday morning there. It shows it a bit stronger actually Sunday night towards Port Angeles too. And you can see it wrapping around the north side of the Olympic Mountains there in the immediate post-frontal environment. Hurricane track is on the move again there out on Cape Cod. They are out on Cape Cod if you guys are just joining us. Tracking that huge nor'easter moving up the coast there. They are under a blizzard warning currently. You see some of these crazy snowfall totals. 18 to 24 inches, a widespread swath of it too. Bangor, Maine, Eastport, Wesley. And you can see that sharp cutoff on the back side of it as you get out towards the inland areas. I've never been to some of those areas out there in Maine. I've been to Boston several times, New York, but I've never been out to Maine there. And here's what's going on now. This is 10 a.m. So the storm is still strengthening as it moves up towards the Maine coastline there. This is about 4 p.m. here Pacific. This is 7 p.m. for the eastern coast there, the east coast. And you'll see our system kind of slide by there, mainly east of the Rockies, but it should bring a frontal system and convergence zone behind it. You can see it there just east side of the Rockies. And it swings through, then we get some ridging, and then another weak system is going to be coming in on the back side of that. In fact, let's update this. This should be updated. There it is. There's that next week system that kind of keeps the mountain snow going for the Pacific Northwest. You can see it there on Wednesday. It's just very subtle. It's just kind of trapped between the Arctic high and the Pacific high out here, and it kind of slides down and through. But it'll keep precipitation going for us for higher terrain. And then as you go into the future, you can see some systems starting to get more active over the Gulf of Alaska. So maybe this ridging won't last too long. But you can see it's kind of lined up over the Gulf of Alaska. So maybe we'll break down this ridge and get it out of here. Amy Hunter is from Connecticut, Hartford. All right, so if you're in Washington now, are you jealous that you're not out there for this storm? I'm kind of jealous of the storm they got there. I'm probably going to have to end the live stream here in a few minutes, but I'll probably do an official forecast for the Pacific Northwest later on today. Probably a little bit shorter than I normally do since I've been talking about it quite a bit today, but yeah, thanks for stopping by, anybody who's come through. That's hurricane track up there in the upper left corners. They've got a webcam in New Jersey, and they're actually chasing the storm there on Cape Cod, where they're under blizzard conditions for gusts to 70 miles per hour and possibly 2 feet of snow. Yeah, Nathan Wolf, that is, yeah, definitely more of a zonal flow, which is better, just for getting some active systems in here, some more mountain snow, maybe a windstorm. It's just more typical Pacific Northwest weather versus this stagnant fog dome that we've had. Amy Hunter is glad that she's not in Connecticut, Hartford right now. Now there's got quite a bit of snow there on the trees there in that Cape Cod shot. That's kind of crazy. Some of those trees are hanging. But yeah, this is much more of a zonal flow. You can see any difference in that system could easily bring a windstorm further south into Washington, British Columbia, or Oregon. Yeah, no problem, Chris. That's fun watching them chase out there. It's nice being able to get that first-hand account of their chase. Obviously getting tons of snow out there. You can see it just piled up on their hood. They must be having a blast out in that. Oh, I saw some lights up ahead of them there. I wonder if that was a snowplow or was that a police officer or what was that? There's somebody off the... Oh, they got some kind of emergency vehicle there. Wonder what that was about. Yeah, give Hurricane Track a follow if you're into the East Coast storms and whatnot. And they, you know, I just started working with them, but I assume they probably cover hurricanes all over the USA. So whenever we start getting into tropical system season, definitely ones to follow. Yeah, next Monday's system's going to be kind of fun if you're talking about the Pacific Northwest. I mean, that's a strong little storm moving down here. It's going to be it'll bring some good winds through the Puget Sound. It's going to bring some lower snow levels too. There's probably going to be a couple surprise little coatings of snow north of Seattle there in the higher terrain, especially with that Puget Sound convergence zone going through there. And that westerly surge down the Strait of Juan de Fuca will be fun. That's going to hit Whidbey Island. And we're going to clear this air out quite a bit. We'll get some gusty winds down through Seattle, 30 plus mile per hour gusts. We'll get a lot of mountain snow too. And we'll get some rainfall through the region. And they're buffering a little bit there. It kind of looks like that sometimes with the webcam. It looks like things are passing by fast, but it's usually not as bad as it seems. They're usually going slower than what it seems on those webcams, can make it kind of distorted. So yeah, this storm on the East Coast is just ramping up still. It should be at its peak here in the next, by this evening. And then as it starts to move, as it's moving north, of course, that snow is going to cut off from southwest to northeast. And eventually that moves out over Nova Scotia, well up towards Greenland. Look at that storm go blast all the way up to Greenland. And then all the way to the North Pole. Just a huge transfer of energy. And basically what the Earth is just the weather is just a big cycle of heat transfer from the tropics to the poles. Poles are cold, tropics are warm, and that warm air wants to get north towards the poles, and that cold air tries to work its way south. It's just a balancing act that tries to go on. And you can see that storm just bring a nice heat transfer all the way from subtropical regions all the way up to the polar regions there. As the next storm barrels through the Midwest there. So yeah, our storm's going to get us, but it's also going to swing across Montana, the Dakotas. So our next active weather maker, you probably hear about that too. Look at that Arctic high just come down east of the Rockies there too. So probably going to bring some good snowfalls to central portions of the country. We'll have to take some more look into that also. But yeah, I'm going to end the chat here and hope you guys had a good time. And thanks to Hurricane Track for letting me show their live stream and their webcam. And I will talk to you guys later on today. I'll probably do a quick forecast on the Northwest and see how things are going then and look at some new model runs. So I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for stopping by, everybody.